what's up, guys? Welcome back to Relationship, Romance, and Propaganda. As I promised last week, we have a cutie as a guest this week.
Hey!
Jess. This is Jess. I am filmmaker Imani Shakur. This is actress and author Rachel K. Burke. These are her books. We forgot to mention it last week.
That's
Rachel,
okay.
Can you hold those up?
They
please?
know.
I like the people to know, the new people to know.
This is my...
Love Bites.
Oh, it's caught. It's tangled.
And what's the other one?
Sound Bites of Rock and Roll Love Stories,
exactly.
The first one, yes. If you like Almost Famous, it's a good comparison, then Love Bites is the sequel.
Yeah. Google those. We all legit. We really do what we do. Google us. Anyway, it is the only...
Or DM us, huh?
Or DM us. Exactly.
A callback.
Exactly. We are the only podcast that expose the truth and broadcast the lies about relationships, love, sex, marriage, friendships, the whole thing. We are the sexiest relationship podcast on the planet. As you can see, we keep it consistent. You know what I mean? It's real and uncut. Guys, don't forget to subscribe. Thank all of our listeners on all the streaming platforms. rptalktruth@gmail is the email. And today we're going to have some fun and talk about breadcrumbing, in and out, in
and out.
Sounds like food. Like people that are in quick and out quick, that are like all about you, dating you for a month or two. They want to be together all the time and then they disappear because it's a thing.
Ghosting, all that good stuff. It is a thing. And apparently, our friend Jess here is an expert at the in and out breadcrumbing phenomenon. You know what I mean? And today we're going to talk about it. Last week, I jumped it off. So this week, Jess and Rach, they will jump it off. And, we are a great podcast for all the cool relationship information. So don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button. So let's jump it off, ladies. What's going on?
I'll give you an overview what we're going to talk about, and then I'll have Jess kind of chime in and see, because I know she has a lot to say.
Okay.
Because there's two things we're going to talk about. One, and this has happened to both of us recently, and I'm sure it's happened to you too, is like the guys that are all about you. They're dating you for a month or two. They want to be together every day. They want to text you all the time, and then they disappear. And I think a lot of women have struggled with this, and it's like, what happens, right? Like, what went from you loved me last week, and now you never want to talk to me again? Like, I don't get it.
Right.
So that's the first thing. And the second thing is breadcrumbing, which is, and I have one of these guys actually right now who's doing this to me, who I met once, and it's like he hits me up every couple of weeks. It's like they want to text you and keep you around, right? And I don't know what that is. Jess can speak. Jess can speak more to that. Yeah. So I'll let her jump it off, and you can. Yes. And it's not me.
It's not. It's not you. That is a great way to start it off because one of the overarching themes here is it's not you. If any of these things have happened to you, I promise you, it has nothing to do with you.
Well, that's good to hear.
I mean, these are character flaws in somebody else, and you just happen to fall victim to them. And so I'm going to go over later on some ways to avoid this type of person and signs to look for in this type of person.
Good.
So that you can avoid this altogether. But this is probably going to sound familiar to a lot of you. If you're obviously here listening to this today, you've probably experienced this. So anyway, so it is not you, it's a type of person. And so the first thing we're talking about is the in and out. Not to be confused with the restaurant chain.
Right.
They're in quick, they're out quick.
I like to think of it as like a touch and go. The planes, they come in quick for a landing and they just touch and they go.
Right.
They're in and out as quickly as they came in. So first of all, this is a person who repeatedly does this. This is a pattern. This is not
repeat offender.
A repeat offender. Like someone who does this to you, you can bet they've done it before and they're going to do it again after you. So again, when I say it's not you, it really isn't you. But they come, and I'm not, there's varying theories on why somebody partakes in this type of behavior, but it's a little bit addicty. I've had conversations with therapists about it, and it does resemble an addictive style of behavior where you jump in and you rush in quickly and then you pull out really quickly. It's almost like you spook yourself, or you get in too far, or that high has run away or dissipated already. It's because they're going in for the high, and as soon as they're not getting that hit that they want, they're out. So that usually has a lot to do with it.
And it's definitely happened to me before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to say any
think
names
a lot of us.
because I've been getting in trouble lately saying things. People hit me up. Well, are you talking about me?
No.
No, it wasn't.
It was just someone who sounded just like you.
But you know, Jess, if I could say something real quick, it was very nice to hear that it's not me, right?
Never.
Because I think we all think that it's us.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to hear from you that, hey, this isn't about you. It's really about these people and what they do. And I can totally see the people that have done that to me most recent, like you say, doing it again. And it's a serial thing that they actually do.
Yep.
Has nothing to do with you or anything you're lacking in any way.
I find actually a lot of times when guys have done this to me, it's that they're on the rebound and they think they're ready for something and they're not. So, like, I dated a guy last year, and I mean, this guy was like almost like overkill. Like, I almost wasn't even into him at first because he would text me I'd wake up every morning to a text. He would send me, even if it was just like an emoji, you know, like a kiss emoji or something, he would text me all day long. He would come to my house on a Friday and not leave until Monday. Like, we would go on a date Friday, he'd stay over. Saturday, he'd be like, let's go to the beach, let's do this. Sunday, like, let's go out to breakfast. And then he'd, let's watch movies. And then all of a sudden Monday, I wouldn't hear from him for a week. And I'm like, what is going on? And he did it twice because he was a repeat offender. Because he disappeared for a week, and I go, what is going on? Like, you want to be together for 4 days in a row, and then you disappear. And then he was like, I'm so sorry. Like, because I just got out of something. I wanted to make sure that I really liked you, and I wasn't just trying to fill a void. So I gave him a second chance. He did it a second time. And I actually talked to Jess about it, and she goes, set the pace, because she goes, guys will throw themselves in and freak themselves out. So I did. I set the pace actually for the next couple weeks where I was like, no, I'm not going to be with you 4 days in a row. But the problem is, if you have to do that, right, where you feel like you're playing a game, something's wrong, right?
For sure.
Yeah, it's like I think you sense when something isn't right, because towards the end, I started being like, what's going on? I checked Instagram, and he started following his ex-girlfriend again, and I was like, that's what it is. He wasn't ready. Yeah. So I think a lot of times it can be that.
It's definitely that. And I think that, especially in the case of men, because obviously we women, sorry to put men down, but we women tend to be a little bit more self-aware and emotionally aware. And men can get there, but it usually takes them more time to get to that level. So I don't think that every man enters this kind of situation with malicious intentions. I think that they do have good intentions. They genuinely like the woman, but I think a lot of times they just overestimate how ready they are for something.
I totally agree.
And they're like, yes, I'm ready for a relationship. I'm looking for one. And then as soon as it gets real, they freak out and they realize they're actually not ready.
But it's also what you and I talked about too, which is the energy shift when the ex moves on and they sense that and they want them back, right?
That too.
Because I call it like the 2-month rule. Because I remember, and this has happened a few times, where it's like I would be devastated over a guy, and then about 2 months later, I'd be like, you know what, I'm okay. And that's always when they wanted me back. And then I noticed, I was dating a guy years and years ago, and same thing. He was texting me every day for 2 months, wanted to be together all the time, wanted to talk all the time, and all of a sudden, he went quiet. I go, what's going on? He goes, it just hit me. My relationship's over. And I can't get her back, and then he tried getting her back. Yeah. And so it's usually that energy shift, because you can sense energetically when one person moves on, Yeah,
you can.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Just like you can sense when they're starting to pull away, when they've dove in, you could probably pinpoint the precise moment that their feelings, the tide has shifted, that they're pulling out. And it's and especially women, we have sixth sense about that stuff. He took just 3 hours to respond instead of his usual whatever, how long, and it's so you might otherwise not notice it, but it's just yeah,
because I knew with the guy last year, because he sent me a good morning text every morning with an emoji, and one day I didn't have one, and I was like, he didn't send me one.
Well,
consistency.
There is something to be said for that, though, because in all relationships, everything's really exciting and new in the beginning, and that level of communication every day is unsustainable throughout a relationship. You can't conceivably think that for 5 years, if you're dating someone, that they're going to text you a good morning with an emoji every day. That's just, it's not going to happen. But so, and also men also start to settle into their normal routine again, get back into their life, and for a lot of women, their insecurities start going off, and they're like, well, wait a minute, does he still like me? But it's just him getting back into regular life and coming down from that initial high a little bit. That's how a normal man responds when he's getting into a new relationship. Yeah. But that's different from the psychopath not to put them down, the psychopaths that repeatedly dive in quick and pull out quick. Like and I want to make a distinction there because there are two different types of people that do that kind of stuff.
Can I say something though? Like we as men, we do talk about the whole good morning text thing. I just want to focus on that.
Well, I need to. What do you tell us more?
Yeah, we literally talk. I mean, it's a conversation when we meet up. So did you did you send her a good morning text, and did you do it the next morning too? I mean, we literally consciously talk about when we start sending them. How, I swear to God, that's something we talk about actually.
Oh, why do you talk about it?
Because for us, it's one of the ways of letting you know we're interested and we're somewhat serious about engaging with you. Mm-hmm. So we have this thing we say, you go in the way you come out, right? You come out the way you go in.
Yeah.
So if you start off sending morning texts, and there's the early morning text that you shouldn't have sent, you have to wait until it gets to a certain level before you send that first good morning text. And I know for me, usually when I start, I never stop, even if it is 5 years. Mm-hmm. It's just what I'll do.
But every single day?
Every single day.
Yeah, my ex called me every single morning on his way to work.
It's just what I'll do, right? So if we stop, you're absolutely right. Something's wrong.
Something's wrong. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Yeah.
But it's something we literally talk about.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too that I want to talk about is like the people, and I think more so probably men do this because women will rush in because we want relationships, right? And and men are kind of the ones that a lot of times are hesitant. Not all men, but I think more times women want relationships and men are kind of like a little hesitant. So the guys that rush in real quick, I always tell my friends, be careful. Because if they're in quick, they're usually out quick. And my friends, they never listen to me, and it's always the case. So, because I remember my friend was dating a guy, and she was like, "Oh my God, it's amazing. He we hung out every day this week, and now he's taking me to San Diego this weekend to meet his friends, and then he's taking me to San Francisco next weekend to meet his friends." But as a naive woman who just wants a relationship, you think that's great, right? Initially, she was like, I think she was still in her 20s, so she hadn't and I was 7 years older than her, and I was like, "Listen, I've been there." That's not. It's actually not a good sign. Like you think it's a good sign, right? On paper, that looks great. He wants to be with you all the time, and I said, but usually the guys are in quick or out quick. And she's like, no, it's going really well. After San Francisco, he never called her again.
Yeah.
And so she finally goes, what happened? And he called her and he was just like, you know what? I just don't see it going anywhere. But I was like, I told you. But he didn't even have the courtesy of telling her that after the trip. He just stopped calling her. Because usually if they're jumping quick, they're going to be out quick.
As far as the friends thing, though, sometimes we do it as a gauge. Just to see what our friends think.
My brother told me this too.
Yeah.
He actually does that really quickly, and he used to, back in the day when he would start dating a new girl, he'd bring her home pretty quickly, way quicker than I ever brought anyone home. And he was like, I just want my family to sniff him out. Like, I need to read quickly.
That's what we'll do. Like,
it's not a serious thing.
We'll bring around our friends.
It's a sniff out.
Just to see.
Yeah.
Just to gauge it. Hey, tell me what you think. I just met her. Tell me what you think. I'm going to bring her out for a glass of wine. For us in wine country, it's easy.
Oh, that makes sense. His friends probably didn't approve of her.
Yeah.
Because she is kind of a hothead. That she has a temper. Yeah. So I could see maybe somebody said something to him.
For sure.
Now, if we keep bringing you around,
that's good.
That's different.
Right.
And another telltale sign is if we don't ever introduce you to the friend, something's wrong.
Right.
Also, though, this was I feel like this was in the first 2 weeks of dating her. Like, would your brother have brought a girl home in 2 weeks? Like, that's really soon.
I think the first one was he had known her for 6 weeks and brought her.
Okay. But that's more normal. Because this guy just seemed like he was in way too quick, and I didn't think that seemed healthy.
I do think there is I struggle with this a little bit because there is a real fine line between guys, because guys know really quickly if they like a woman. It's almost instantaneous, and everything that happens after that just reconfirms that initial opinion.
But a lot of times I think women, and I'm thinking of my friend, and I hope she doesn't listen to this, but a lot of times I think people can come off really sweet, and then when you get to know them, those red flags come out.
No, for sure. And that's what I'm saying. So what happens in the coming weeks after either reconfirms their suspicion or their initial opinion, or changes the course of things.
Right.
So you have to be careful because you don't want to be alarmed immediately by any guy that rushes in and seems to like you right away.
Right.
Like, you want the guy to like you right away because that's how men operate.
But if
like,
he wants to hang out every single day, I'm going to be wary.
You have to be wary of that. That's weird. Also, does he have a job? If he wants to hang out every day, like, what does he do? Does he have friends? Does he have a life? Because I don't have time to hang out with someone every day, and I don't want someone who has that much free
It's like a
time.
serial monogamous. Like, they just like jump in. Because I remember like the first time that happened to me, I was 21 and I met this guy on vacation. It turned out he lived in Massachusetts, and I was like, oh my god, me too. That's crazy. Yeah. And I went and visited him in college, and he was like, he was like showing me off to all his friends. He was like, isn't she so beautiful? He pulled me aside. He was like, he goes, I really feel like it's like fate how we met. Like, we met in Miami, and we both live here. And we had I like one of my best friends went to college with him, and so he was at the party and everything. And he really was, and I was like, wow, this guy's like so into me. And then disappeared. Yeah. And I was like, what? I thought it was fate. You know?
Yeah. I know. Right. Yeah. There are certain things that, you know, when your alarm bells go off, like, you just have to trust that. When you think something is weird.
I didn't have alarm bells at 21. I was just like,
I know.
Yeah.
I met a guy recently at the dog park. And
it's a good
place to pick up.
And he was attractive and fun to talk to and whatnot. But he asked me out that night, like to hang out that night. And I'm like,
no, I don't like that.
My alarm bell started going off, and I was like, well, I mean, why? Well, that's so weird. Like, why doesn't he? It's a Friday night. He didn't have any plans, and like, it was too much. And I was like, well, I'm actually busy tonight, but I'm free tomorrow. And he's like, great, I'm available then too. And I'm like, wait a minute, something's not right here.
It's like desperate.
But I was also like, you know what? He's cute. He has a job. He's interesting. Like, I'll give it a chance. But Saturday I had to reschedule the Saturday anyway because my dad was in town. Long story. So I asked if he could do Tuesday, and he said fine. On Tuesday we were supposed to meet up at 6. At 5:40 on Tuesday, he canceled with some ridiculous, like, over-the-top story that he was in the hospital with his uncle who had collapsed on Sunday night, and he thought he'd be discharged by then, but he's still there, and he's with the aunt, whatever. And he said, can I get a rain check? Well, I was like, sure, obviously, you have to give some, oh my God, I'm sorry, you do what you have to do with your family, but he didn't set like a follow-up date, and I just knew at that moment I was never going to hear from him again. And I never heard from him again.
Yeah.
It's like
so that's something I want to say to men too, is like, men do not respect how long it takes a woman to get ready. Okay. Like, I wash my hair like once a week. Okay. And I plan it. I literally write down on my to-do list, like, Wednesday wash hair, because I know I'm going out Wednesday night. Guys, you can't do it on the fly. Like, maybe some girls you can do that. I don't know. I'm not one of the on the fly girls. I had this dude, when we talk about breadcrumbing, I'll bring him out because like he hits me up once in a while, and it's like 10 a.m. on a Monday. He was like, hey, I'm in Santa Monica. Want to hang out? And I was like, yeah, I'm just getting out of bed. And I go, no.
10 a.m. I'm just getting out of bed.
Yeah, I know, I'm a late sleeper. But like, you have to plan that. And I said to him, I go, you need to give a girl 24 hours notice.
Absolutely.
We got to shave. We got to wash our hair. Like, no, you can't just be like, hey, want to hang out today.
Yeah. But also, I really think those are kind of alarm bells you need to pay attention to. When somebody is trying to hit you up and hang out last minute, like, don't be available for that person. Like, that's just asking to get this type of man.
Because they're not respecting your time.
They're not respecting your time.
Yeah.
It's all about them and on their terms. And I'm telling you, that is not a pattern that changes. If you decide to date that person, that person will always hit you up last minute. Yeah. And that's it. Like, just don't date that guy.
They don't prioritize your time. Because I feel like you're a normal guy. Like, you would make plans with a woman.
Oh, of course.
You would say, like, hey, what are you doing on Thursday? Yes.
And also, if you hit up a girl last minute and she was like, yes, I'm available, you would immediately devalue her.
Right.
Why is she sitting around doing nothing?
Right.
Last minute. Yeah.
And they actually say that in dating books. They're like, if a guy calls you and is like sometimes just be busy, even if you're not busy. Even if you're painting your nails, like, you know what, I'm busy. Can I call you back?
Sorry, I got to wash my hair tonight. Yeah, that whole thing. That's a real thing.
It is.
But like,
so I mean, there is an art to creating a new relationship.
Yes,
which 100%. We talked about before.
Yeah.
You know, it's an art to it. It's not just, and people forget that it is a conscious art to. You can't just go haphazard, do whatever you want to do.
Right.
You have to consciously think about what you're doing. There is an art to it. Go ahead.
I wanna bring up one point, because there's a lot of dating advice out there that tells people, you know, you have to do this and you have to say it this way and you have to be unavailable and you have to like set the pace and all of this stuff. But I think that actually does a disservice, because what you're then doing is you are attracting and keeping the wrong kind of man in your life.
Yeah.
Like you're dating the non-committal of love avoidant guy when you play that game. And if you have to play that game, like it's not the right fit. Like it should be easy. It should just flow.
You shouldn't have to play. Yeah, if you feel like you're playing a
organic.
game, something's wrong.
It should be organic. It should just organically
Yes, because
flow.
because I told you that like so there's a book called The Art of Seduction, and it talks, and it's very. Have you read it?
I haven't.
Oh my God, you'd love it.
Okay.
Because it goes into all different, just like people's psychological mindsets. Because everyone has a certain type of seducer that you are, right? So like, I read all of them and I was like, okay, I'm the charismatic because like I have a purpose in life. I'm very honest. Like people will be attracted to me for that purpose. Some of them is like the siren, like the Angelina Jolies that are just like walking sex, right? Like some people like that. Some are like the dandy, like you can, like Andy Warhol, you kind of switch genders, and it goes into this like history, like why Cleopatra was a big seducer, because she was not facially attractive, but she would switch up her look all the time because men like diversity, right? So she was like always a different woman. But then it goes into the different types of people that you're seduced by. So like one of them, like I know so many guys that love like the damsels in distress, right? Like they want to help you, like they always like the girls with issues.
I feel like a lot of men like that.
Yes.
But they're also a little bit on the insecure side. They need to feel important.
Yeah, they want to be the hero.
They want to be the hero because that
it.
boosts their, there's to an extent it is biological, but also, a secure, confident man doesn't need a woman. He wants a partner who
a
is
strong woman.
right.
Yeah.
Not someone who needs to be saved.
So I knew, and it really teaches you to like listen to people and figure out what they need, right? And so I knew my ex so well at one point. I was like, he falls for all women who cheat on him or who he can't have, and the only time he mans up is when he has to win them back. So I knew, I was like, that's the only way he's going to commit if I'm like literally go be with somebody else, break up with him. And that was what it was. He wouldn't commit. And I finally was like, okay, let's take a break, hooked up with somebody else. Cause I knew, cause I had read that book. I got into his mind and I'm like, that's his story. Cause he was like, my wife cheated on me. My college girlfriend cheated on me. And his story was always like, he had to win them back. He didn't put shit into the relationship until they found someone else.
Right.
And it worked.
Right.
And I hooked up with somebody else and he cried for hours, did everything he could to get me back. But at that point, to what you're saying, it's a bad match, right? I don't want to have to like hook up with someone else for you to want to commit to me.
That's toxicity, like in the flesh. That is a toxic relationship. If you've got to play games and play with their mind to get them to date you, sorry, that is not a partner for life you want.
No.
Like, it's just not what you want.
No. All right, let's switch to breadcrumbing because I think we got a lot of stuff to say about that.
I do. I have a whole page.
So we're gonna switch gears and talk about breadcrumbing.
We're gonna talk about breadcrumbing and
kind of on the same level a little bit.
It's on the same level a little bit, but it's the shallower version. So like what we were just talking about, the guys who come in real quick and bounce. That is
the girls too.
The girls too.
Yeah.
Girls do that too. I'm sorry. I don't mean to gender identify,
it's all
but
good.
It is more common for men to do it, but women do it too, 100%. That is like in that case, it's usually someone who is you're dating them and you're hanging out with them and you're sleeping with them and it seems like you're in a real relationship and then they disappear. That's different from breadcrumbing. Breadcrumbing is more surface level, like maybe you went on one date, maybe you haven't even gone on any dates yet, but they continuously send you flirtatious text messages. It's usually through social media or text. They send you these flirty messages with no real intent to take it any further.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's breadcrumbing. And
it's like a psychological disorder.
Yeah.
Because I have guys that do that to me every time they get out of a relationship. It's like I'm just filling a void until the next girl steps in.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And that's exactly what it is. So a breadcrumber is someone who needs attention. They thrive on the attention and they also like to think they have options. So like they, maybe they're seeing some girl.
But you said it's like an ego thing,
It
right?
is an ego. It's 100% an ego thing. And it's maybe they're seeing some girl that's the girl that they want to date, but maybe she's not giving him all the attention, so he needs to have like 2 or 3
Yeah, that's literally the guy that's breadcrumbing me right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, he has a girlfriend, but every couple weeks he hits me up and flirts.
And I'm like Hansel Gretel. throwing you breadcrumbs to keep you on the trail.
Yeah, I know a breadcrumber right now.
Yeah.
You have one?
Everyone has one. It's
Everyone
has a
I have
breadcrumber.
like two, but one has a girlfriend, and then the other one, it's like I'm his fill-in in between relationships. Like she'll text me back.
Right. It's like a little ego stroke.
funny.
So they need. So there's another type of breadcrumber. So there's that one that needs that attention. There's another type that actually has. I think that breadcrumber doesn't necessarily have an actual conscious agenda. It's just like what they default to. They're like, let me go through my phone and like see what girls I can hit up that I regularly hit up.
Yeah.
There's another type that is actually like, a lot of times it happens in online dating, or you meet them at a bar and they won't commit to a date, but they continuously text you. And this person, I feel like sometimes they're warming you up, like buttering you up for a late night text.
Yeah.
They're getting you
Prepping
ready.
the booty call.
And it's not, or it's like they'll be texting you for a few weeks so that you're ripe and ready, and you're building trust and comfort without actually having to put work into it.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday night at 11 p.m. when they're at a bar and there's no other options, they can text you to show up at said bar.
Gotcha.
And you already feel like you know this person. Oh, hey, yeah, like he sent me photos of his dog. We're like best friends.
I'm in the like you're in the rotation.
Yeah. But like you feel like you know this person without ever having like really known them, and you feel comfortable to show up at, you're sitting on your couch, you didn't make plans that night.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll go meet this guy at 11 p.m. Like we're already friends. Like
Right.
So that's another type of breadcrumber.
I've never breadcrumb anyone.
Well, that's
because you're a normal person.
You don't need that. You don't need the validation of
Because you're a secure man.
Yeah.
It's like insecure people that need
validation.
Yeah, they need that ego boost, that
Do you know that they
validation.
have options?
Yes.
Or if like some girl just dumped them, they can be, or a guy just dumped a girl, she can, because again, it happens to women. I know women breadcrumbers. They keep like 2 or 3 dudes around that they can text that they know are going to respond to them.
Right.
So would you say
I'm
women
the opposite.
do it more
I'm like,
than
I don't want to
men,
talk to
or
anyone.
no?
I think breadcrumbing goes both ways. I think this one might be an equal.
Okay.
Equal.
For men, it's probably more sexual. Like they want to
Yeah.
have like if they're not having a lot of sex, or they need booty call options. Because for women don't really look for like booty calls most of the time.
No,
I think
they
want like love.
They want love. They want to know that they're desirable,
or
and
attention.
that they're dated, attention.
Yeah.
And maybe they want someone to go out to dinner with once in a while or whatever, if like they have no other options. So, but the moral of the story is that a breadcrumber is someone who is into the minimal effort game.
Yeah.
They don't want to.
They're never gonna like make
No.
plans with you in advance.
Right.
They're gonna text you at 10
Yeah.
a.m. Hey, I'm in your town.
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm in my pajamas, and no.
And they'll see how much they can get away with. Like if they get away with continuous minimum effort, they're going to continue to put in minimum effort. So it's one of those things. If you feed the beast, it's going to stay alive.
But you said to me before, you were like, insecure women fall for it because they're like,
for sure they do.
Because they're like, oh, he's giving me attention.
Well, there's a girl who she really likes him. Like she met him at a party or met him through a friend or whatever, or they went on one date from online, and she's like, oh, I really like this guy. And then 3-4 days go by, hasn't heard from him, and then all of a sudden she gets a text from him, and she opens the text and she's like, oh my god, he likes me. He says, hey, what are you up to? He likes me.
Right.
and it's confirmation bias. So you see something and you want to believe that it's what you want it to be. So hey, what have you been up to means more than it does.
Right.
And so then that keeps the beast alive. And then that's why they'll wait for the next text, and they'll go on for like a month of texting with no dates.
With no dates.
And they're like,
Wow.
he one day he'll ask me out, or like he keeps saying we're gonna hang out soon, but he's really busy.
Yeah.
No one is too busy to go on a date.
Never
Like,
make excuses
I'm
for
sorry.
someone else.
Yeah, and you make excuses for them, like,
And
oh, he is
women
really
fall
busy.
for this stuff. It just trips me out.
Yes.
Insecure women
Yes.
do.
We have a friend that will show me all of her texts.
Wow.
Like she in the blue, like all the texts are blue, and then his are like there's like 3 grays.
It's like, but the thing is, she
yeah.
builds up these relationships in her head that don't exist, right? It's like, but we've been texting all week, but you haven't met him.
Yeah.
Right.
The thing is, like, you don't have that in-person chemistry yet, and then she'll get heartbroken if she meets him and he disappears.
Yeah.
And it's like, but she'll be like, look at this. Like, she'll show me all these texts. It's like, but this isn't a real relationship.
No.
Like,
not.
this is a real relationship.
Yeah.
He
Right.
probably met you and he wasn't that into you, and that's okay. Like, someone else will be, but you can't take texts as like effort.
And that's why it's so confusing a lot of times, because you're like, oh, we've built up this rapport on text.
Yeah.
We know each other. We're like
You
practically
don't.
dating already. You actually don't.
No,
like,
you
you
don't.
It's like
don't.
AOL chat rooms
Yeah.
back in the
Yeah,
day.
exactly.
You know, I have a
And
boyfriend who lives in South Carolina.
Yeah, and they never met each other.
Right.
They dated and for 2 years and never met.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they broke up
Yeah.
without ever having met in person. It's
Right.
like, that's not a relationship.
That's why I don't put any effort into text. Like when I do online date, it's like I have like, because I just hate texting and I don't like the phone either. I'm like, let's just meet. Let's just meet in person.
Just get it quickly.
Because some guys want to do that. They're
Yeah.
just lazy. They want to sit
Like
in
a
their
pen pal.
Yeah, they want a pen pal. They don't want to meet in real life.
And, uh,
So the next thing I want to mention is how to avoid this type of person and
Yes.
breadcrumbing. Like,
yes, Jess,
it
how do
is-
we avoid this?
yeah.
It's very easy. If you feel like you're being breadcrumbed and the person isn't asking you out on a date, there's two things you can do. Well, actually, there's one big thing you can do. Just say, well, yeah, you can cut them off and just be like,
Disconnect.
but you should say, you give them one chance to be like, hey, I'm free on Thursday. And see how they respond.
That's a
If
good-
they
Yeah,
just call 'em
don't-
out, like,
just
hey.
say- and if they don't say, oh, well, I'm busy, but how about Saturday? That would be an appropriate response. So
Right.
now they've set another date. If they just say, oh, I'll let you know, or they give you some other kind of vague BS
That's-
answer,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's your answer.
They're keeping you
Just
here. They're giving you the Heisman.
Yeah. Just let that person go. Like, that's never going to be a date. That's never going to be a thing. They've got other
Yeah.
things going on. You're never going to convert that person. It's never going to
Yeah.
happen.
Right. A stand-up guy will make plans in advance. He will value your time. I think this is why I date a lot of single dads, because they have
Stand-up
to do
woman,
that.
too.
Yeah, kids.
By the
Yeah,
way.
stand-up woman. It's not,
Yeah.
again, we're women, so we talk about it
Yes,
as men.
yes,
but
yes.
Yeah, but I'm
it
here to bring
goes
the
both
other
ways.
side.
But yeah, Imani, if you got any side chicks who are trying to give you the Heisman, they want a pen pal.
No, because I'm listening and I'm thinking about some people that's breadcrumbing, and I'm like,
They got you in the
I
rotation?
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
Because
it's
women
funny.
do need that. I think women need that
Yeah.
attention more than men a lot of times.
Because it's funny hearing it, like being this specific and talking about it. When someone's doing it to you, you're not thinking about
Yeah.
it in such specific terms.
Right. You're like,
but
you're just really busy.
when
Like,
you're
wait a
hearing
minute.
this right
Yeah.
now, and you're thinking, like, what is? She's breadcrumbing my ass.
They do.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And then when you ask her out, she probably gives you some excuse,
Yeah,
like,
you
I'm
know,
busy.
so
or
when,
blah, blah,
when am
blah,
I going to
blah.
see you?
Yeah.
You
Just
know,
don't- if she doesn't-
I'm going out of town so and so weekend, but maybe okay.
Because you showed me a text.
So,
You showed me a text once, and I won't get into specifics, but it was
Yeah.
like a picture the girl sent of her because he was losing
Yeah.
interest.
Oh, yeah.
So she sends him like a picture of her, like a sexy
Yeah.
picture, and it was like all about her. And I'm like, yeah, she's trying to reel you back in because
Yeah.
you're losing interest.
Yep.
If she was a
Yeah.
normal person, she'd be like, hey, I miss you. Let's meet up.
Exactly.
Right?
And
Done.
you know what? And what might be happening? I'm not saying this is happening in that particular case, but I know because I know women. She might actually be chasing some guy that's doing it to her,
Yeah.
and she's keeping you around for when he is
Yeah.
out of
Right,
the picture.
he's
It's
out of
like
the picture.
you know, a lot of times these women, they're insecure and they chase after these men that are doing this kind of stuff to them on that side. So like, if a woman's not going to commit to a date,
Oh yeah, I'm
just
not the one.
bye,
I don't even.
next.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
the one. I don't even. I don't even engage.
right.
I think we can
know
call
what I'm
this how to
saying?
identify the non-committals.
Right.
Right,
I mean, they're all
yeah.
avoidance. Like, they're all not ready. Like, that is
Right.
the
Right.
overarching theme here is that these people are not, if they can't be straightforward and honest with you, they are going to make a really
Yeah.
shitty partner.
Yes.
So you
Oh,
don't
of
even want to
course.
go there. Like,
Absolutely.
and here's the other thing. I actually think that women, and this is like just going back for a second, but I think women have done themselves a disservice in the dating world by like, thinking like they'll call themselves crazy. They'll be like, oh, I want to like say I'm free on Thursday, but I don't want to seem crazy or I don't want to seem too much.
Desperate.
You're never going to be too much for the right person.
That's true.
All you're gonna do-
yes,
yeah.
the right person is going to love you for who you are.
Right.
That's
That's
what because
true.
my friends will
Yeah.
read these texts like, what do I say? They'll rewrite it 5 times. I'm like, it doesn't matter how
Yeah.
you say it because the right person is going to. I always actually say to our friend, I said the right person is going to love you're crazy.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And it's not even crazy. Like, it's not crazy. I'm sorry
No.
to say, like, my time is valuable. I'm free on Thursday.
No.
That's not crazy. That is just owning
What's
your time.
crazy is rewriting a text 5 different ways and
Yes.
showing your friends 5 different drafts, and you're like, just send the damn
Just
thing.
send a text.
Right.
He's gonna
And
love
be-
you for you.
Right. And
Right.
I don't
Right.
think you can ever, I think to be vulnerable and put yourself out there, but also own what you want, like be very specific
Yeah.
in what you're looking for and communicate that. And if that's not what that person's looking for, then you'll get your answer quicker and you won't waste any
Yeah.
time. Like,
Yes.
you cannot do wrong by just owning your truth, being who you are, saying what you want. And if that person doesn't take it up on it or they call you crazy, that's not your person.
Yeah, right.
End
Yeah.
of story.
So have you
So that's
guys?
a good
So have
question.
you guys ever been? Oh, okay. I was just
Okay.
gonna say, have you guys ever been in a relationship where you felt like you were changing yourself to mold what the other person wanted?
Or just like
No, 'cause
showing.
I don't do that.
Oh,
Maybe
see,
when I was
I
super
have.
young.
Like
when I was younger, I would just say what I thought would go over better. Like it wasn't really changing
not
who I
agreeable
am
at
because I
all.
can't. What's that?
I'm not agreeable at all.
yeah.
I'm always going to be myself.
Oh,
And either
okay.
we
See,
vibe
I
or we
did
don't
because I
vibe.
felt like in my last relationship, I was trying to be what he wanted because I loved him and I was trying to maybe connect with him in that way.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, yeah, let's go to the gym together. I fucking hate the gym. Like,
Yeah.
I am not a gym
Yeah.
person. But I was
You
like
mentioned
trying
this
to
to me
connect with him
before.
in that way. Or like, oh, you have kids. Yeah, like I have a niece and a nephew. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like
You're
I'm not
you
a
don't
kid
care
person.
about kids at all.
But
yeah.
but because I loved him, I felt like I was trying to be what he wanted, and in the end, it's like he wasn't my person. Like that's not
Yeah.
your person if you feel like you're
Right.
trying to be someone else.
Well, that's the
Right.
truth. You really have to just own who you are and what you want, and be specific. And
Yeah.
and if you don't know these things, take the time to figure it out. Like, what do you want? What do you want
Write
out
a
of a
list.
relationship?
Write a list. Make a vision board.
Like
Yeah.
it's these are things that you should be doing as like you know, we're probably talking to a younger audience when we say those things, but like when you're in your
Not always.
20s,
Well,
yeah,
like
but
he's been married
Nah,
twice, so
yeah.
like he hasn't dated a ton because he's been in like long-term relationships.
Yeah.
You, I think, like I think you are now, but I think
Yeah.
for the bulk of your younger years, you were
Yeah.
very monogamous. So I think
Yeah.
some of this is new to you.
For the most
Right.
part, yeah. But I want to have a quick question.
Yeah.
So if a woman sends you a text, and me and Crispy was talking about this yesterday.
Okay.
yeah.
Well, so if a woman sends you a text, right, and she caps it with, "Okay, I'll talk to you later," before you even respond.
What?
What does that mean?
Wait.
Yeah.
Let's go back. All right. So, what were like 2 or 3 texts leading up to that? That's important details.
And how much time transpired?
oh, and you hadn't responded, so she was like giving you. Was she?
No.
Was
Let's
it passive aggressive?
No, let's just say the
Okay,
conversation
right,
is going on, and you send a text and you haven't heard back for like a couple hours, let's say.
This is you sending a text.
I haven't heard
and
back in a couple
she
hours,
hasn't-
let's just
yeah.
say, and then she hits you and she tells you what's been going on, and then before you could say anything else, she goes, "I'll talk to you later," but in the way like cutting the conversation off. Like in other words, don't message me back. I hit you later. You know what I'm saying? That's basically how it was.
That's so strange.
So I told Crispy.
Well, it sounds like
I said-
I think she might have just been like stressed in that moment because I've done that where it's like I get like I'm an introvert and so I get overloaded when it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh God, like when people text me too much at once and I get a million emails and I get a million things to do. I do that sometimes. I either don't respond, but because I'm a very responsive person, I'm like, we'll talk about that later. Like, let's talk later.
Yeah.
Just to be like, I'm not rude and ignoring you, but at the same time, I'm just like overloaded right now. It could.
Did that seem like what she was saying? No?
Because what she was talking about was really important.
Okay.
So for me, for her to cut it off like that was kind of strange.
Did she
That
mean
is
like
weird.
let's talk on the phone about it later?
more
No,
information on
she
this.
just meant.
Yeah.
She
I feel
just
like
meant.
We're getting like half
let's
the
not
conversation
talk.
here.
Yeah, she just meant don't hit me back. But I could tell that's what it meant. It was
Maybe
like
she was busy in the moment. But have you heard from her
I
since?
don't know.
No?
I'm not buying it on sale at Walmart.
Okay.
I actually
Yeah.
think, this is what I think, and I could be wrong. Because to me, when something don't feel right, it's not right.
It's not right. 100%.
And to me, it seemed to me as if the text was just an excuse. And the I'll talk to you later was her way of going, and don't try to hit me back. And I think it's because she was engaged already with someone else.
Then go with
or-
your
Go with your
gut.
gut.
That's
Go
what
with your
my gut tells me.
And also, if she says I'll talk to you later, like take it at
Because it was
face
too
value. She
important.
said I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
So like,
I didn't
okay,
even respond.
we will or we won't.
And what she was talking about was so important. It's something you would say, you know what, I'll let you know how it pans out. I'll talk to you a little later. I'll hit you later or something.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like that.
No.
You know what I mean?
Always
She's
go
not
with
gonna
your
give
gut's
you-
never
yeah,
wrong.
your gut isn't wrong.
Yeah.
But I also am like, at this point in my life, I just don't have time for this stuff. To like when someone's gonna say something and I'm not sure what they mean, like ask. You
Right,
can also
yes.
ask that person, like, what did you mean talk to you later? Do you really want to talk to
What do
you
you have to
later?
lose?
That's
You
true.
have nothing to lose.
I could have asked, but in this case, I don't care either way.
Right.
Yeah.
So I
Then
said,
it's like, whatever.
I said,
Yeah.
I mean, not even.
Then let it go.
Right, I'm
Yeah.
letting it go. But the reason why I brought it up, and I brought it up to Crispy, is because I'm kind of using what's happening as a gauge to decide if I want to engage with this person again or not.
Right.
You
Yes.
see what I'm trying to say? So I'm looking
Well,
at
that's-
everything.
I'm thinking at this point you have enough information. Like that's weird. It's weird
Yeah.
to not explain yourself, and like why I'll talk to you later and not follow that up with something like. that's weird. And do you want to be in with someone who's not going to be forthcoming with what's going on? Like, those are things.
Communicate with you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I've tried, recent shift in my thinking on that is, it's, what I want is more important than what they want.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done reading into things and like, does he like me? Does he want this?
That's true. That's a good point.
I want to look and see, is what you're doing what I want?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I have totally shifted on that, where if someone's playing games and I don't know the answer.
It's not do they like me, it's do I like them.
Right.
Actually.
So it's like, I don't like this. I choose to be out. And I actually recently did that with someone I was seeing for like a month. And
he was in quick, out quick.
In quick, out quick. He was in quick, out quick. I brought him to a wedding. I brought him to a very good friend's wedding.
He was a touch and go.
Yes.
He was a touch and go. And he got real weird after the wedding. And like, we had an amazing time.
He was getting serious.
We had an amazing time. The morning he was like, thank you for bringing me to that wedding. It was so much fun. I love your friends. I had a great time. And then he, like, in the morning, he hung out for a while, and then he called an Uber, and when the Uber got there, he, like, walked out the door to go into the Uber, but then he comes running back in to give me another kiss, which is, like, you would think that's someone who really likes you.
Oh, these guys go for it.
He got real weird that whole week, and instead of sitting there being like, oh, does he like me? What did I do wrong? Why is he second guessing? I was like, I don't like this behavior. He did this. Those are 2 strikes, and then it was a 3rd strike, and I was like, nope, I'm done. And I just sent him a text, because I called him, he didn't answer. So I sent him a text the next day. I was just like, hey, I like you, I have fun hanging out with you, but this isn't what I'm looking for.
Yeah, they were like dating, and he just disappeared after
Guys,
that.
you heard that? What I do like in the story is the Uber run back. Let me write back.
Right, that is a good one. If you like a girl,
run back,
Like
run back for the last
woman
hug and
when he
kiss,
climbs the fire
and
escape.
then leave. Let me write that down.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
it is. It's adorable.
But you know what I think
if it
it
wasn't
is?
a douchebag who did it.
Right.
You know what I think it is with these guys? Because I think your story and my story was like the same timeline. It was like a month and a half, 2 months. It's like it's that point when you're about to be in a relationship, right? Because that's like relationship territory.
Yeah.
Once you get into like, you're coming up on like 2 months.
Yeah.
No girl's gonna put up with that for more than 3 months. They're gonna be like, okay, you're my boyfriend, right? You know, like I think that's like the timing. It's starting to get serious. And then they're just like, okay, yeah, I'm not ready for this. And but instead of having a conversation, they just disappear.
But that's and when I think about this
I like the way you handled it too. You were like, look, this is not what I'm looking for. I'm done.
I don't even want to know why you got weird. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
it's not
matter.
what I want.
That's true.
It's not what I want. And
that's true.
And that's a shift.
Because it doesn't
it
matter. At the end of the day, like, I don't care what your excuse is or what your story is.
Yeah.
That's not what I need. If you don't want to be my boyfriend, bye.
It's the fact that you did it anyway. That's a good point.
And and it's just, I just don't have time for that. And the thing is, like, I'm very hypersensitive now to like that kind of behavior in thinking like that's not the kind of partner I want, and I'm very specific. Like, I need someone who has the emotional maturity to like, I know people get freaked out and they get weird and they want to take some space. That's fine, but like if you can't communicate that, I need someone who's a little bit more evolved,
mature,
immature, right? And I'm, I don't play those games anymore. I mean, in my 20s, I might have chased this guy, but I'm not that person
I agree.
now.
Yeah. So, in my 20s, I might have chased this girl.
Yeah,
I agree. But now I'm like,
ain't nobody got time for that.
That behavior is a turnoff. Like, and it makes
it is.
Yeah, it's not sexy.
Because it's like a self-confident person doesn't want anyone who doesn't want them, right? Yeah. So it's like, if you don't want me, I'll find somebody else.
I mean, that's the point. It's like I don't have a lack of options. Like, not to say, not to. I'm not trying to be like egotistical about that, but it's like, I know what I got. I'm confident. I'm intelligent. I have a good job. Like, I do things. I have interests.
You're good looking.
Thank you. I don't need to settle for these guys who are being like, you know, and it's no woman should. Like, you should, all women and all men should be in a place where they don't feel like they need to put up with that kind of bad behavior.
As we say in Trinidad, like, I'm feeding you with a long spoon. You know? You know what I mean? That's one girl until I figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Seriously.
What does that mean?
That means like a long spoon, like feeding you from a distance. It's like the breadcrumb thing.
Like pen pal?
Yeah, like I'm feeding you with a long ass spoon. Here you go, sip at a time.
I'm over here non-committing.
Yeah, sip at a time. This girl that sent me this text, you know what I mean? Feeding her with a long spoon. And I'm like, you know, then the spoon just disappears. At that point, she's gone. You know what I mean? It's gone.
And
I have to admit, and this is a flaw with me, and I was telling Chris, but I said, dude, if she wasn't so hot, I wouldn't even be thinking about it. He was like, yeah, I know you. If she wasn't that hot, you would have just been like, look, click, done, bump.
But still, you don't want the hot crazy.
I know you don't. I know.
Maybe
but
for
I
a
have to
night.
admit that that's my fault.
Entertain her if you want to, like, a fling.
For me even considering re-entertaining it is because I love the way she looks.
Right.
I have to admit that. I'm not perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's the only reason. If she wasn't as hot,
men are visual.
It buys them a little extra time.
A little extra, but
it shortens the spoon a little bit.
Yeah. You can get away with a little extra behavior there.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Right.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
it doesn't ultimately last forever.
Nah, it doesn't.
No, she's already shown you who
Looks
she is.
play out
It's never
with me
going to be a
quick.
relationship.
Yeah, looks play out with me quick. Yeah.
But there is also like there are guys that will do this to women and they'll keep them around. Like they will date these women into years, and the women will hang around and wait for this guy to come around, and eventually a lot of times he does because he's run out of other options.
Yeah.
And then he marries that girl, and then it's a terrible
Then it's a disaster.
It's a disaster, and that woman never got the love she deserved. And like I've seen it happen. I know people that I grew up with who've chased a guy for years, and while he ran around all over town with everyone else and like treated her like shit for years, and then he got older and fatter, and he was like, I guess I can't do any better. So
actually, no. I will say, I'm going to say one exception to this. One of my best friends back home stalked. She was his booty call for 3 years. He would never commit. After 3 years, one day she just was like, I think we're a couple. And we were like, she thinks they're a couple. That's funny.
No, but they do it.
They were, and they got married, and then they moved in together, and then they got married, and they're actually really happy. I will say
it can happen. I can happen, but do you really want to like waste a bunch of years of your life chasing someone who treats you like shit? Like that's
that's an exception, though. I always say like that's an exception. Like women, don't take that at face value. Don't chase a guy.
If you want to sit around and wait for that guy to come around, he might someday come around.
Yeah,
but have some damn self-respect and don't wait for that.
But I feel like you're always gonna feel a little insecure about it.
Totally, 100%. And why do you need this person's validation so much? Like, do you not love yourself enough to think that you're worth more than that?
I always said like I would never marry a guy. Like if I got pregnant, because I'd be like, they just married me because I got pregnant. They wouldn't marry me because they actually loved me. I want someone to marry me for me. Right. Because they want to, not because I trapped you into it.
Right. And also, again, the whole same thing of, do you love and respect them for the right reasons? Like, is it just because you want the validation of them returning the love for you? Because you're setting yourself up for disaster if that's what you're looking for. If you genuinely think like this person is perfect for me for X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and he's just young and immature, like maybe someday that guy will come around. But you really have to be like, check in with yourself and like, is this what you want? Is this real? And like have your priorities out. And if you're doing it because you just want validation, like that's a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And a life of misery.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a good topic. Now, you done with all
I know. I think we're gonna wrap here. My
Oh,
wine's
no,
empty, so.
No, I love it. It was a great show. I actually learned a lot of stuff, man. It's interesting. And it's funny, it's certain things but until you get specifics, like how we're talking about it,
well,
in specific terms, it hits a different way.
You always know inside, right? That's why they say to meditate. Like you always, or like people that do ayahuasca or shrooms or stuff. It's like you realize things that it's already in there. My friend did like one on an ayahuasca retreat. He said everything I learned, it was already in there.
It just unlocks.
Yeah. You just sometimes you put Bill Burke did like a comedy. He's like, I had to give my dog away. It was like a bad rescue dog, and he's like, I cried for 8 seconds, and then I went and like push the emotions down. He's like, fine.
Yeah. That's funny, man.
We do. So I think we all need to listen to our intuitions more.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, that's our show. Don't forget to feed them with a long spoon.
Short spoon.
with a very, very long spoon.
And also put yourself first. Don't put these other people first and their needs first. Like you,
value your time.
Your time.
I tell every guy I need 24 hours notice before we hang. Yeah. I do. I do.
And that's how.
And I'm honest with them. I'm like, I need to wash my hair, get ready, shave. I need to block my calendar off.
That's how it should be.
I've told guys this too, and they continuously disrespect it. And when they do that, you're like, nope.
But then the guys that do respect it, cool.
There you go.
We'll keep you.
You know what I mean? And you know what, guys and girls at home, I'm going to listen to this episode again while I'm in the gym a couple of times.
His notepad on the treadmill.
There's a lot of good notes here. I was
Good nuggets.
listening so much, I didn't have time to write a lot of stuff down, so I will be listening to this our own episode. Yeah, and my mom's Shakur, Rachel K. Burke, special guest Jess.
Hey, guys.
Breadcrumbing ghosting specialist
Yeah.
Jess.
Self-love
Thanks for
expert.
coming, self-love expert.
How to
Thanks for
identify
coming
a
in.
non-committal.
Yeah, thanks for coming and hang out with us, Jess. You were
Thank
amazing.
you for having me. It was great.
It's relationship,
Your mimosas
romance.
minus the juice.
Minus
was
the
great.
juice, yeah. It's relationships, romance, and propaganda. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week. It was a lot of fun.
Bye,
Hope you got
guys.
some
We're going to have
gems
Jess on
today.
again, too, to talk about narcissists.
Yeah,
Stay tuned.
We are.
Super
We are going to
fun.
have her on again. Yeah, okay. All right, peace. We'll see you guys
Bye,
next
guys.
week.